Welcome to the Strategic Insights Podcast. I'm your moderator, Andrew Mackel. Today, we're going to be discussing Strategic's NetSuite practice. I'm excited to have a guest today, Kate Emrick. Kate's one of our senior NetSuite consultants. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Why don't we give you a little bit of background of yourself to the listeners today?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Kate Emrick. As Andrew alluded to already, I'm an SIG senior NetSuite consultant. So my, everyday activities are really client-based, working with clients day in, day out, and setting up their NetSuite environments to be exactly what they need.
So, Kate, it sounds like you're wearing multiple hats on a daily basis. Which is your favorite area, or do you even have a favorite?
Yeah, so I feel like my day-to-day varies a lot. I mean, I could be just starting on a brand new client that we just signed, and they could be just fresh, never seen NetSuite before, really focused on getting their requirements down and configuring everything to fit their needs. But then there's other days where we have some NetSuite pros of clients because we've trained them as such. And it's really focused on just more enhancement-based work, more personalizations, customizations, just doing what we can to make their existing environment even better. If I were to pick, I would probably lean towards more of the enhancement based work. I just think it lets me be more creative as a consultant. And I like to kind of keep my wheels turning in my brain and think of new things we can do to NetSuite to make it work even better. So I would say probably the latter.
That's awesome that you have the ability to have such flexibility from the creative side to helping those be successful. So that's awesome that role gives you that capability. Give us a little background on how you ended up in working in the NetSuite realm and at Strategic.
Yeah, so I guess I'll backtrack to college for a moment. So I received my degree in finance and marketing, which is a really interesting blend. They don't really go together, but they kind of do, I have found. And then I also did a certificate in technology, arts, and media. So I kind of had just like these three different realms, wasn't really sure where I was going to use them all, especially not together. I didn't think there would be a fit for those three very different seeming areas at the time. And then actually, I went to a college job fair where NetSuite was, Oracle NetSuite at the time. And I started chatting with somebody at that booth, and immediately I was like, I think this is the fit for what I've been learning in the three different worlds, kind of blending into one. So kind of fast track that, started at NetSuite right out of college, went through all the formal training program. It was really great because I got to basically work with everybody in the same boat, kind of just figuring out the system, um, seeing how it worked, the ins and outs, just getting the basics down. And then from there, started getting my hands involved with more of the inventory aspects of NetSuite. So just seeing, how the full sales cycle can work, customer places an order, how are we going to get their product to them, beginning to end, right? And then the purchasing side, the building side, were short follows to that. So yeah, I just kind of really gained my love for inventory. I thought it was a really neat side of NetSuite, working with really interesting clients. And then I found my way over at Strategic. So that just allowed me to be a little bit more flexible in the solutions I could design. And that's the long-winded way that I ended up in the NetSuite world. And I'm still here.
Kate, that's great. Seeing that you're an ecosystem lifer and you have all that background, it's exciting that we can add you to Strategic's 30 plus years of supporting customers in the enterprise space, as well as the SMB space. And that's one of the things that I think that's unique to how we're positioned is we are taking that journey with them. We're
Mhm.
supporting them on it. We're understanding what their 18 to 36 month goals are, and we're making sure that we keep them aligned for where the industry is going, where technology is going, how to better utilize that as a strategic advantage, pun intended. And that's the part where it gets to the creativity, where having consultants like yourself really helps set us apart. The other thing I think that's very interesting in what we do is you talked about the creative piece about how you extend the product a little bit. Can you give a little, for instance, on why it's important, that partner part of extension, and possibly even some of those IP pieces that help us utilize or support clients in utilization of their solutions through either automation or some of the things that we bring to market?
Yeah, so something I think that really sets strategic apart that you alluded to are our extensions. So by being a partner, I mean you have a front row seat to us recommending that and then implementing that with our clients. Um, but yeah, I mean basically our extensions fill gaps of NetSuite. So they're all designed really by our customers and by us. It's just we listen to our customers, we listen to the gaps they're finding in NetSuite, areas that maybe are falling short in NetSuite that could be enhanced or improved. And all of our extensions are basically those gap fillers, or just ways that make processes go better. So, for example, one of our extensions is EZ Assets. NetSuite has a fixed asset module, but oftentimes, over time, we've heard clients just complain that it's really burdensome, it's too cumbersome. They really have a pretty standard and simplistic asset approach when it comes to managing their fixed assets. And NetSuite's base module, although it's great, is just a little too overkill in certain instances, right? So we basically came up with our Easy Assets extension that we help the client implement and set it up to be just a little bit easier to use. BillFinity is another one of my personal favorites. BillFinity is basically a subscription management tool for NetSuite. So basically, what you can do is have an order generate, and then once that order is generated, it automates all of the recurring billing that takes place thereafter. It's a really strong offering. It's just making our clients' life easier instead of going in and having to invoice manually month over month or annually or whatever that frequency may be. It's subscription management right inside of NetSuite, right? So subscription gets created, the billing is automated thereafter, and then the client never has to really worry about anything, unless, of course, there's something like a cancellation, which hopefully not. But Billfinity handles that too, so they're covered if it happens. But those are just a couple. I think those are really strong offerings, and I'm actually going to say one more thing too, because this sparked just another great thing I thought about going with a partner is our customer care plans. So not only do we have our extensions that really set us aside as a partner, but we also have our customer care plans. And with those plans, basically it's just preset support for the year, right? So if you see a new feature that comes out in one of NetSuite's biannual releases, you can go out and with us test that out, support the setup of that new feature, whatever it may be, and then change your business, grow with the release instead of just receiving a release email and saying, oh, I don't know what that feature is because I don't have the time to figure that out. We have the time and we help you figure it out and set it up much faster. And then with that, we do an annual business process review, right? So basically, we'll go in, we'll assess your system, say, hey, things are looking good, or hey, things need a little improvement. And then we work with the client throughout that year using the customer care plan allotted time to basically improve and keep the system running efficiently.
You know, that's an excellent point to make when we're talking about the differentiators between ourselves and direct, and I think that little nuance in customer care program, and it's actually a lot wider, and I want to highlight that a little bit. We're talking about the very small amount that we can support a customer that allows them to focus on their business, but not have to stay on top of those releases. But I know that those plans vary, and I've seen it where we've had some customers come to us and say, "Listen, I know I'm in an SMB space. We're growing very rapidly. I need you to be an extension of my IT team." And those plans can vary from, like you said, just the care and guidance on the releases up to, it sounds like, either staff augmentation or being their outside IT. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I mean, it varies, right? I guess let's start at the lowest tier. We have clients who maybe are already on NetSuite and they're just looking for somebody to come in, give their system a gut check, talk with them, listen to them, assess what their needs are, and then choose a plan thereafter. That's our starter plan, right? It's very small. It's, hey, let's assess your system, let's talk about your needs, and then let's pick a larger plan potentially from there. Or maybe that's it. Maybe it's just they need to relay their needs and then nothing, necessarily major comes of it, but they just want to have an ongoing contact like us for the future. I guess moving over to the other end of that spectrum, of course, there's the in between area, but the most complex, we work with the client depending on the situation to figure out what the best plan is. Maybe it's a full re-implementation. We've done that before. If things really go haywire, we are there to help, all the way to just, more project work, more enhancements, more personalizations, just improving the system. So if that answers your question, kind of that spectrum,
It
we
it
kind of do it
absolutely
all.
does. Absolutely. And I think it's good to point out that these customer care programs are things that we offer clients that we don't even implement. And so while you know that we might even re-implement, well, a lot of our customers come to us after they started. So they initially started as a very small customer. They've outgrown their team. They're expanding, and they want to make sure they're utilizing NetSuite correctly. And some of the times when we engage with customer care, we're like, listen, it might be time for re-implementation just due to the fact that you're no longer the same business you were when you were 10 employees. And I think that that consultative approach where we're not pushing anything except for the understanding of their challenges and helping to align that with the software that they own to better utilize and be successful in industry is really a differentiator for us. There's not a single thing we're trying to sell or pitch necessarily. It's more of an understanding of what your business needs are and making sure there's alignment. So there's not alignment. I've done it before, and I know some of our team has. We'll suggest someone else to go talk to, because at the end of the day, it's a relationship. It's a long-term relationship. We're partners. We're not vendors, and I think that that's been highlighted through how you explained that process and our alignment, especially with those annual business review plans, as well as just the overall support we provide our customers. One thing I wanted to get into is we've talked a really good amount about your background, the flexibility of the platform, the extensibility of the platform, how a lot of our IP, of course, is developed specifically for helping customers, not necessarily saying there's anything wrong with the modules they're currently running, but in many cases when they're smaller, it can be overkill. And so the simplicity of what some of the things we bring to the table, the price points at which it's a little more affordable for some of the small customers until they get to a size where they need an enterprise level asset, if you will, management solution. And we really pride ourselves on taking that feedback from customers and developing and delivering these type of pieces, which I think is that creativity part that you started with earlier in the conversation, which I find so intriguing. If you had to say, like, we talked about the creativity being your favorite part. What's the exciting thing you see coming out? Just for the next year. We're in a little bit of a turmoil with the economy, but we're seeing a lot of questions coming in, and customers are still trying to maximize their use. What do you see as being a hot topic, whether that be IP, whether that be services, direction? Just curious from what you're seeing, if there's anything out there you can allude to.
Yeah, so I think I'll take that with more of the IP answer. I think something really neat that we've been working on here at Strategic is really accommodating the life sciences customers. That's a project that I've been pretty heavily involved with. So that's again just another one of our extensions. And worth mentioning, I mean, some of our extensions couple really nicely together. So, to give an example, for our life sciences customers, we have our ERP toolkit extension, which essentially has this feature in it called e-signature. We're finding that security is becoming a really important thing to be aware of and be mindful of, especially when it comes into your ERP platform. So something that we developed is an e-signature. So name your transaction, name your record you want in NetSuite with it. Basically, it just provides that extra layer of security where an employee couldn't save a record unless they put in secure credentials. And then they have that additional auditability layer within that record in NetSuite. So that's one feature of our ERP toolkit. Then couple that over with our inventory toolkit. Features are endless. We've now created things like vendor certifications. We're seeing that's a really strong need, right? I can't place a purchase order from a vendor unless I've said that the vendor is certified to buy certain products from us. That's just something that natively NetSuite doesn't handle. So again, it's that gap filler. It's us assessing and finding the need and then filling it. So I would say, in my opinion, I'm finding that, audits, traceability, security are some of the big buzzwords that we're hearing from a lot of our clients. And then also, I mean, not necessarily an extension, but something really neat that we offer at Strategic is, the whole validation aspect. So not only are we going to set up your NetSuite environment, but we have a whole team dedicated to just constant validation and making sure that the system stays validated, especially as, safety and auditability become such important factors for a lot of our clients.
Absolutely. And for those that have seen it or will look at it as well, there is a podcast that we have done on continuous validation, which is tied to that validation service. So as you look at a SaaS platform such as NetSuite, it allows you to stay validated. And just like we do with our care plans, we reach out yearly on those releases and help support you on the changes that will impact your business so you can take the necessary changes to stay compliant. So and that's great, right? So we're talking about the extensibility. NetSuite is a platform in a product. It's one of those things where everybody's like, well, is it a product? Is it a platform? It's both. And the extensions is a very unique thing in NetSuite because that's why there's 600 micro verticals in the industry. And I think the ones that we support per the work that you've done in both of those two areas with extensions is awesome because it really does allow us to differentiate an industry. And then, of course, the validation team coming in and developing that product to go alongside those two toolkits. It just allows us to go and answer a lot of questions that clients have that want to run the product, but have certain compliance they have to adhere to. And knowing that that's there and customers have been using it successfully, it just takes a lot of weight off their shoulders. And of course, that's what we're here to do. So we covered a lot today. And Kate, I could probably talk to you for hours, which I think we already know because you and I have talked a few times. That said, I want to leave some time for our next podcast. I'm sure this won't be our only one, and say that if you're looking for IP, if you're looking for information regarding some of these extensions, as well as some of the toolkits we've developed to help your organization, please visit strategic.com. Kate, thank you so much for joining us today and lending us your expertise. I'm looking forward to talking more in the future about some of those cool things that you're developing, as well as possibly having you sit in on a couple of customer testimonials, as I know that you're one of their favorites. So it's always fun when I have to drag you into a meeting and we talk to a customer and they're like, well, I would like all of this, but I would like Kate to do it. And it makes it very difficult for me to use you on multiple customers when you're so loved. So thank you for your effort. Thank you for your time today and look forward to talking again in the future.
Yeah, thank you.